This podcast is hosted on podhome.fm, the most modern podcast hosting platform. Podhome offers unlimited episodes and podcasts, and unlimited use of Podhome AI, which generates transcripts, clips, chapters, title suggestions, show notes, and much more. And all of that for just $15.99 a month or $185 per year. That's a steal. So go to podhome.fm and start your 30-day trial now. And enjoy the show with Joe.
Transmitting live from the Asylum Studios, deep in the bowels of Southwest Texas. It's the Joe Rooz Show. The show where we talk about anything and everything. Where nothing is sacred, nothing is watered down, and nothing is PC.
Alrighty, it is Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2026. I am Joe Rooz, and it is great to be with you once again, transmitting live at the Asylum and doing the very best we can to bring you the best quality talk radio we could muster without all the bluster. Welcome to the Joe Rooz Show. Alrighty. Folks, how we doing? It is Tuesday, for sure a Tuesday, or at least the third Monday of the week. Sunday is Monday, pre-Monday. Then Monday is Monday, then Tuesday is Monday, Wednesday is Monday, Thursday's Monday, Friday's Monday. Saturday is pre-game, Sunday, Monday. You get the idea. It's the third Monday of the week. What a killer day. Yeah, I had a rough one. We had a fire marshal inspection, and I mentioned it because she said she's going to watch the show tonight because of our guest. So, not because she's interested in supporting people in the community. No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing her. But yeah, we had our fire marshal visit today at our building, which went spectacularly well. Don't expect anything other than that. And just you name it, everything went off today. Plumbing issues, leaks, breaking walls, all that wonderful stuff. Almost wasn't sure if we were going to make it on time, at least. We were going to do the show no matter what, but might have been a little bit. But we're here, and we got a great show for you tonight because tonight's guest is a Texas sheriff sergeant with over 23 years on the job, and a story that will stop you in your tracks. In 2019, he was shot in the face with a crossbow during a welfare check. He survived. He went back to work, and that's the most important part of the whole thing. He survived, but what he says is that incident isn't what broke him. The job had been doing it quietly, one call at a time for years. He's also the author of Scars of the Badge, a raw look at trauma, faith, and what it really costs to wear the uniform. But of course, as always, before we get into it, we're going to clear up some of the housekeeping stuff, and then we'll bring in our guests. So if you would, please head over to our website, joerooz.com, joerooz.com. And when you get over there, please open up that contact form and send us over a message. Let us know whatever's on your heart, whatever's in your mind, any questions, comments, cares, or concerns that you might have. Maybe you have a complaint. I mean, you really shouldn't have any complaints, but you might. And if you do, you can leave them right there for us, and we'll give them the just attention they deserve. Maybe you have an idea for a guest or a particular topic you'd like to discuss on the show. We are open to receive those from you, so please send them on over to us and let us know. Now, if you don't want to use the web form, totally fine. I understand that. We have that ridiculous CAPTCHA thing on there, which drives me absolutely crazy, so I'm sure I'm not the only one. So if you don't want to use that, you can always email me directly at info@joerooz.com. That's info@joerooz.com. You can also use the comment section down below here on Rumble or on YouTube if you're, for whatever reason, still on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble. It's a better place to be. But you can use the comment section down there, and we'll make sure we get to it, and we'll give it the just attention it deserves as well. All right? So plenty of ways for you to catch up to us, plenty of ways for you to find out what's going on with the show here. Check out all our social medias. We're on Twix, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it Twix. You can check us out on Twix. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all those places. And we would love to see you there and interact with you there as well. Also, please, folks, don't forget that this is a live show, weeknights, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we also have our every other Saturday show with our resident crypto psychic, Marissa Lee, where we talk about all things cryptocurrencies. And that's noon on Saturdays, every other Saturday. Actually, we spoke to Marissa today, and we're going to be getting back on track with the shows. A lot of scheduling conflicts on both ends, but we'll be getting back on that very, very quickly. And then, of course, our Sunday show. We have our Sunday Bible study show every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time. And we are studying the book of Revelation. Very important study, very important book to know. And you know something? The thing is, it's not hard to read. People think it's hard. It's not hard to read. It's hard to believe. That's the thing. All right? But it's not hard to read. Read it. It's very important. You should know where you are today. All right? And then, of course, don't forget, please, very important too, like, subscribe, and share the show with friends, your family, and your followers. It's very important for us too, because, you know, algorithm is the thing. And without folks liking and subscribing to the show and sharing the show across their social media platforms, we're not going to get the kind of traction that we should be getting. So we need your help to do that. So please like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, your family, your followers all across your social media platforms. And we would greatly appreciate that. All right. Now, tonight's show, tonight's guest is brought to you by Podmatch. Podmatch, it's like Tinder for podcasters. It's a great, great platform. Podmatch, very simple. You as a host, you build a profile. Your guest builds a profile. The algorithm puts the profiles together, and you can either match or pass. That's the way it works, just like a dating app. So check it out. It's great. And the reason why it's so important is because, you know, most podcast guests and hosts literally spend hours researching connections, coordinating interviews, and working on administrative tasks while only spending, and this is an actual number, this has been researched, 10% of their time on what really matters, and that's building impactful podcast episodes. That's it, just 10%. Now, Podmatch enables podcast guests and hosts to reclaim their time through automations and streamlined processes so that they can focus on what really matters, and that's creating content that serves the listeners. Now, if you want more information about Podmatch, go to podmatch.com/member/Joe. It's right up there on your screen. And that's the profile page for our show right here. And you could take a look and see what it's all about. It's a great platform to be on. And you never know. You could sign up through our page, and you might end up being a guest on our show one day. That would be great. So check it out. Podmatch.com/member/Joe. That's podmatch.com/member/Joe. All right. Now, tonight's guest is Tom Lee, a sergeant with the Texas Sheriff's Office, over 23 years on the job. He walked into the calls most of us cannot even imagine. Suicides, child deaths, violent confrontations. And then in 2019, he was shot in the face with a crossbow during a welfare check. He survived that. He went back to work, and then he realized the crossbow wasn't the thing that broke him. What broke him was the job. And the job had been doing it quietly, one call at a time, for years. He's the author of Scars of the Badge, a raw memoir about trauma, faith, and what it actually costs to wear the uniform. Tom, brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe.
It is great to have you here, man. Thank you. And thank you for your service, sir. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the 23 years you've invested and putting your life on the line like that.
Thank you.
That's important. I don't think people realize just how important and how dangerous law enforcement is. We had a firefighter on the show a couple of days ago. Same thing. I don't think people realize just how every day that you put that uniform on, you're putting your life on the line. There's a chance that you might not go home to see your family, your friends, your loved ones. And it does take out a lot of men. It really does. Slowly chips away at it. And and we really want to hear about this story from you tonight. So we're going to get into that here shortly. But before we get into all the really serious stuff and drag everybody down into our pit of of self-pity for wearing the uniform, so I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So what is something that you are stubbornly particular about?
No pickles.
No pickles?
No pickles.
At all?
Anything that's been pickled. I don't like the vinegar flavor. No pickles at all.
Wow. I was not expecting that. Okay.
Okay.
That's great, and I'm glad you didn't take the question before the show. So because you're probably going to come up with something different. It would that really wow, no pickles. That's interesting. That's very. I can't agree with that though. I like pickled stuff. So
Weird.
pickles are important, man. Especially being from New York. You cannot have a good Reuben sandwich without pickles. You need to have the pickle.
I'll just stay with the sauerkraut.
Well, that's another. Oh, I love sauerkraut, but it's the same thing though. It's still pickled.
I don't know. I mean, sauerkraut I can do. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can actually do the sauerkraut. The pickles, I'm out.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. So, okay, so what's a simple pleasure that most people underestimate?
That's a little tougher right there.
Good warm up.
Simple pleasure that most people underestimate. Hmm. I'm gonna go with driving a vehicle.
Okay, explain.
So, I mean, most people get in their car and just go to work, go shopping, whatever they're gonna do. Man, that's the place where I relax. If I need to do any thinking or do anything, uh, you're lucky I'm not doing this in my vehicle right now because that is one of the things that I would be contemplating doing because it's just so much easier. It's a quiet place, you get away from everybody.
Yeah.
Just you can be lost in your own thoughts.
Well, I agree with you, and so and I'll tell you why I agree with you because I don't think people realize just how liberating getting behind the wheel of your car and just taking off and taking a drive and just disappearing. I love doing that. I every now and then I'll load my dogs up in the car, no particular destination, and just take off and just drive. I love doing that. I get some of my best thinking done when I'm driving.
That's what I'm saying.
No music. People say, well, you got to listen to something. Don't you listen to something? No, I don't. Not always. Sometimes I do, but not always. Sometimes I want that time, quiet time. And you get a lot done. You do. And I'm not saying that sarcastically, but you do. You can think about a lot of things. You can plan things. For some reason, my head clears up when I'm behind the wheel driving. And then also I've spent a lot of quiet time with the Lord while I'm driving.
Yes, sir.
You get to talk to the Lord about a lot of things. And especially when you see that 18-wheeler coming down the wrong side of the road, and you really talk to the Lord at that point. But yeah, and I agree with you. So I cannot disagree with that at all. Driving, I think, is definitely one of those things that people underestimate. Just for the quiet.
The youth now, they don't even want to get the driver's license. What's up with that? I don't understand it.
I don't get that either. I mean, I'm from New York City, so I understand that people don't really want to drive because you have public transportation is just so prolific up there, and then at the same time you have such restrictive policies with driving around the city. Now they have this thing called congestion pricing. Have you heard about that?
I have just briefly, but I've heard about that.
Yeah. So congestion pricing. So if people don't understand what I'm talking about. So in New York City now, we'll take Times Square for example. That's the most popular one. So if you are driving around New York City, every time you cross into Times Square, they charge you an additional $9 based off your license plate. So you get charged $9 just to drive into Times Square. And say for example, you are say you're a worker, somebody who drives for a living. And you're driving in and out of these different areas that have this congestion pricing. How much money are you spending just to get your job done? It's just an unnecessary tax. I'm going to get started on taxes. I don't want to do that. That's not this show.
The door dashers.
Yeah, but think about them. Absolutely. Sure. Every time they would cross into that threshold, $9, $9, $9, $9. I mean, there goes your tips, buddy. And of course, who pays the price for that? The consumer. Because now prices go up. You have to compensate for this additional tax that's being slapped on people. So this is not a tax show, although taxation is theft. I firmly believe that, and I will stand on that no matter what. But that's not the nature of the show tonight. So Tom, again, you have a great story, and when I saw your profile on Podmatch, I was really drawn to it. Not only because I worked in law enforcement for many years, but in the fact that you deal with PTSD, you deal with mental health issues. Your particular title, the mental health sergeant, something I've not heard before, and so we're going to ask you about that in a little bit. But before we get into all that stuff, why don't you kind of walk us through how you got into law enforcement? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or was it something that you just kind of found yourself in?
All right, so I didn't always want to do it. I actually started college going for a double major in electrical engineering and computer science.
Mm.
And while there, I got involved in the police explorers, and from there, and hanging out with cops and seeing what they do, I decided to switch my major over and start pursuing criminal justice.
All right. Now, was it an easy switch over for you? Was it something you put a lot of thought to, or was it just something that, hey, you know what? I like this. I'm just going to jump right on into it.
It was more of something I just jumped into. Of course, 9/11 happened while I was in college, my first semester in college, so that kind of changes your viewpoint on the world.
Sure does.
Mm.
It sure
So,
does. Now, you've been at this now for 23 years, though, or more. Is it more than 23 years?
yeah, I started as a dispatcher in 2002 at the college that I was going to. Uh, Put myself through the academy in 2003. Uh, Ended up getting hired by the agency I was dispatching for, the University Police Department,
Mhm.
in 2005, and graduated the academy and was a cop in December 2005.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Now, I served in law enforcement. There were plenty of times in the course of my career when I looked at moments and thought, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to walk away. What kept you in?
so I I wasn't in my whole time. There was a time when me and the University Police Department didn't really see eye to eye on things, and
Hmm.
got a little bit sideways with them, and they ended up actually firing me. Said that I lied during an IA investigation. Uh, they about how fast I was going to stop a car. Uh, I was going extremely fast, way faster than I should have been going.
Hmm.
Uh, they asked me how fast I was going. I was like, I don't know the exact speed. They were like, "Were you doing 80 miles an hour?" Probably, but I don't know the exact speed. They went through that, and they're like, "We think you're lying to you," and turned around and fired me for it.
Wow. Oh,
But they
and
just wanted me gone. I mean,
you think that was the case? It was just one of those things that it was time for you to go?
yeah, I really do. I had gone to or we were having a lot of issues with just the morale in the department, and
Hmm.
they made us come and do a big meeting all together with the vice president of business affairs. He's the city manager of the college. Uh, if you want to think of it in the terms of city government,
Right.
uh, and he's like, "What are y'all's problem?" I was like, "We're a college campus. It's 2007 by this point. We're buying used police cars. We don't have computers in the cars. We're using software that the chief's husband made that is super slow and not very good as our dispatching software. It just things aren't great."
Yeah.
And put a big naively, me being 20, in my mid 20s there, naively put a huge bullseye target on my back.
I think that's a universal thing in law enforcement. It's the guy that comes in and questions things that have always been in place or are in place that don't seem to be working properly. Yeah, I think that's common in a lot of law enforcement agencies. When I was doing investigative work, that was something that was kind of looked at quite a bit. The squeaky wheel type of situation. And I'm not saying it's right to do that at all. It is not, but unfortunately that's the way it works, and it's sad. It wears you out. It does, like you said, break down morale, and and I think that's one of the things that over time wears people out. So, but for you and I understand this, but for people who don't work in law enforcement or never worked in law enforcement, how would you describe what the job actually does to a person over time?
Man, I mean, it'd be one of those things that, yeah, the calls get to you, but it's really not the calls that get to you as much as it's the bureaucracy inside the agencies. Uh, the bureaucracy and whatnot, whether it's the good old boy system or whether it's you getting a target put on your back because you're finding errors and you're trying to correct things and you're really trying to make it a better place. And some people just don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
And they turn around and will make your life a living hell.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. Now you've done, so like you said, you've done university patrols, you've done city policing. Now you have a position of a mental health sergeant. Now that's a pretty wide range. What pulled you toward the mental health side of things?
So really, my sheriff, the second university I was at, I went to work, moved down from the Dallas area down to the Beaumont area in 2012. And one of the first things that the police department I went to work for here did was send me to a mental health peace officer school that was hosted by Houston PD.
Okay.
It was kind of a new thing at that point in time, uh, but they made me get certified in that. And then the area down here in Beaumont uh, started a program with the local mental health authority to pair officers with qualified mental health professionals. And we got a new sheriff that was elected because the other one retired,
Mhm.
and he decided he wanted to be in that program. And he called me up and said, "Hey, we think you're the perfect guy for this. Would you be willing to do it?" And I've been there since. That was in 2019 that I got sent there, and it was like 4 months later that I got shot.
Wow. Now, as a mental health sergeant, what exactly is your role? What do you do on a daily?
So uh, our role is to try to reduce recidivism in the jail and in the hospitals. So if we can go out and make contact with people that aren't in crisis yet or don't actually need to go to the hospital, if we can divert them through other means, getting them to their doctor's appointments, getting medications from them without having to go to the hospital, trying to keep them out of jail because so many of them use methamphetamines and other narcotics trying to cope with it. If we can stop that, that's what we're trying to do.
Do you think it's effective since it's been implemented?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some that are so so addicted to drugs that it's it's almost a losing battle because the drugs win. But there's so many times that I have people come back and say, "Hey, thank you for what you did.
Yeah,
I was about to kill myself and I didn't." And you don't get that normally as a police officer because
that's
you're
true.
go do your one thing and then you're off to the next thing and you never talk to them again. Well, it's my job to go and follow up with these people uh, on a continual basis afterwards,
Yeah.
just to make sure that they're getting the support.
Now, you're also the president of a regional critical incident stress management team, CISM. So, for people who don't know that world, what does that mean, and why does it exist?
Okay. Well, correct you for a second, and that's probably my doing. I'm now the past president. I just passed the torch on to another officer in
Okay.
January. Uh, but the CISM teams are teams that come in after critical incidents, whether it be child deaths, death of an officer, officer-involved shootings, uh, did I say baby deaths? Anything like that, and when the officers or firefighters or whatever's having difficulties with those things, we pull a team together and we come in with people from their agency that were at that task, and we talk through it and try to get people involved. We also respond to any of the mass casualty incidents. Like I went to the Uvalde school shooting and was there for a little while helping with that. And our our team went to New York after 9/11. They've gone to several of the school shootings and the Walmart shooting that happened out in West Texas. We went to that. So we respond to any of the things where they're not normal calls that cops respond to, and they may be having difficulties with that.
Yeah. Okay. Now we all, if you've worn a uniform and you've served in law enforcement or any uniform service really, whether it's firefighting or whether it's EMS, police work, you tend to remember certain things and certain calls that come in. Now you've said that your top 3 calls have stayed with you, and if you don't want to go into details on this, that's fine. I understand that. What made those specific moments different from everything else?
So I mean, typically I talk about the 3 calls, and I'm open book here. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. The top ones there. I had a murder, my first murder that I worked. I actually caught the guy running out of the scene, and he had killed his girlfriend with a knife, like stabbed her 30, 40 times. Uh, and being out in the county, there you don't have backup. So her father was actually coming to kill him. I was able to take him and grab him, put him in the back of my car, get the father to show me where the crime scene was, and then had the father tell me or ask me, "Hey, just leave. I'll take care of this." I was
Really?
like, "Can't do
Wow.
that. Sorry.
Wow.
I get that you want to take your vengeance right now, but that's not how things work." Uh, so had that happen right after Hurricane Harvey happened. Uh, I was driving north on the same road that the murder happened on, and I saw what appeared like fog over the road, and there's a lot of burning in the county that I'm in, of leaves and whatnot.
Hmm.
So I smelt that smell, and I was like, that's interesting. You don't get that at night, and it gets real foggy in this area. And I thought the smoke was fog, and then about 15, 20 minutes later, it came out that it was a house fire. Uh, 5 children and their mother were in the house, and they all died.
Wow.
So that's been one of the ones that sticks with me. And of course, my crossbow incident.
Which I come to, yeah, because yeah, that's some story. My goodness, we all have the stories. Every one of us that have done the job, we all have stories like that, and it. Some of them are hard to reckon with. Some of them are hard to deal with. I still have issues with some of the things that I've seen over the years, and every now and then those things come back and they kind of haunt you a little bit. There's particular times of year that I kind of disassociate from everybody because I just don't want to deal with the memories of that particular time period. And I was diagnosed with PTSD, and it's something that's hard to deal with. Now there's PTSD, and there's something that's also called moral injury. What's the difference between PTSD and moral injury?
So PTSD is you're really like trying to relive some of the things. So uh, could be certain smells,
Hmm.
certain things
Certain
that
triggers that just set you off.
bring back it. Yeah, it brings back the incident. So you relive the incident as sometimes as it is happening, or as it happened back then, it's almost like you're right back into that same scenario. Whereas moral injury is more when you're asked to do something that kind of goes against what your morals are, but it's not unlawful, uh, but you have to do it. Take officers that in the line of duty have to shoot somebody and kill somebody. Uh, they come back and, man, we're not supposed to kill people. That's been taught to us since we're little bitty kids. You're not supposed to kill somebody, but you had to save yourself or somebody else.
Hmm.
That can be a moral injury for you. So those are type things. I mean,
So what are some of the signs that you would see, or that people would miss when you have an officer that you're working with that is struggling?
man, a lot of especially first responders, first thing they do is turn to drinking.
Hmm.
Uh, they
Very
start
common.
drinking heavily. You start seeing them have issues at work, showing up late, not getting their stuff done. Just, I mean, something. I mean, you wouldn't know that something's going on. I mean, and there's a lot of infidelity in the police world too, or world, first responder world, and some of that is due to some of the vices and what that are out there too.
Yeah, and there are, I know that they have employee assistance programs and things like that. In most, well, at the, all agencies now, where an employee who is struggling with something can go and get some kind of help or some kind of direction to help. But generally, what happens is that the system has a way of moving on from incidents, and so what does that look like for the officers who are in those incidents but can't move on?
Well, for one, is we don't really like to admit that we need help. I mean, that we feel like a failure in ourselves if we ask that we need help. So we just don't do it. So they may provide all the EAP to us that we can handle. If we're not willing to face those demons ourselves, it's never going to take and get better.
Yeah, and that's important too. That there has to be a level of accountability for yourself, or self accountability, or responsibility for the things that are going on around you, because I think that everybody has the ability to handle these things in their own way. Some take longer than others. Some can respond to something and recover from something very quickly, but you have to be able to be willing to say, "Hey, you know what? I have a problem. I need help." And you're right. So many guys that, I'm not saying guys like, just the men. I'm talking about, first responders, law enforcement, whatever field you're in that world. It takes a lot to accept the fact that you have a problem.
Oh yeah, I mean, I see so many people that don't, uh, and I mean, the suicide rate among cops is just
Yes.
ridiculous,
Yes.
uh,
It
and
is.
it's because that's what I mean. We're not gonna, for most part, we don't ask for help. We're just gonna take and do it our own way, and we go and turn to alcohol or drugs. Most of the time, it's alcohol that cops do, and it's classified as a depressant for a reason.
Hmm.
It's going to make you further depressed, and you just end up spiraling out of control until one day you eat your own gun.
Which, unfortunately, it happens more frequently than people know about.
Oh yeah,
It,
and we hide that. I mean, they don't really tell you why somebody died. I mean, when's the last time you've seen somebody who said, "Oh yeah, this person died and it was because of suicide"?
oh,
You
hardly
just
ever.
you don't, people don't want to take in, there's a faux pas that's there around suicide, and people don't want people to talk bad about the person or whatever, and so it's just never mentioned. So you don't
Yeah.
know that it was a suicide, and it doesn't help anybody else get better afterwards because we're not addressing it.
That's exactly right. And just as a disclaimer, if you are listening to this, or you're watching this, and you do have an issue where you have thought about suicide, or you know somebody who's contemplating suicide or talks about it, please help them or help yourself. Reach out to someone, talk to someone, get professional help. There's no judgment involved in that. There are plenty of places you can go for suicide prevention hotlines. Please make that attempt. Suicide is not the answer to your problems, by far. So, disclaimer.
And it hurts your family. I mean,
Oh, it's terrible.
more than anything else, if you've ever seen what it does to a family afterwards, it
Because it leaves a lot
it's
of
just
unanswered questions.
oh yeah, that your family's going to turn around and blame themselves, and
Yep.
why didn't I not see this? Why didn't I not do anything? Or I did see the signs and I just didn't do anything. Or what if I? It's all the what ifs.
Yeah. I saw the signs, but I didn't want to see the signs, so I ignored the signs.
Hmm.
I've actually heard that before. I've had some people that I know that have been dealing with that, had dealt with that stuff at a particular time, would say that, I saw the signs, but I didn't want to see the signs, so I ignored the signs, and this is what ended up happening, and now it's my fault. The family ends up usually taking a lot of fault for it because they chose not to respond to it, or they
And then
were oblivious to it.
and we were talking about some of the things that officers do. I don't know if you know the book Relentless Courage.
I've heard of it.
Uh,
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Michael Segru. His story is he wasn't suicidal in the typical way. He just started being a daredevil, and
Mm.
that was his. He was like, if I die on this call, my family gets a great paycheck, and I won't be here anymore. So he started
Yeah.
doing a lot of risk taking uh, outside of the norm that police would do, and we don't hardly ever talk about that side of things.
Yeah. I know, and I'll be honest with you. I went through a period recently where not recently, but within the last couple of years, where I was on a similar track. After a few things that had taken place, we talked about it before the show. I was on a similar track, and I had that mindset. Well, I'm not going to actively pursue it, but if whatever I'm doing ends up that way, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? And so it's a very similar attitude, and I think when you kind of digest that and you kind of realize that that's the way you're thinking, it should scare you. It scared me. It really did. It scared me. But Tom, when did you first realize that the job was affecting you in ways that weren't going away?
Man, so I mean, it it all. I mean, when I got fired, that was a super hard thing, and during that time, one of my FTOs also committed suicide. And I mean, I was in a really bad place at that point in time, and I started pursuing God again. Uh, I've always been religious, and Jesus had always been what I found as my strength and comfort.
Hmm.
But I wasn't living that way. And when I got fired, I started getting back into that. And then I got a job in law enforcement down here in the Beaumont area. And I was still doing it for a little bit. And then, man, life happened, and I stopped pursuing that so heavy. Started drinking and swearing and cussing and fussing, all the good stuff that cops do,
Hmm.
and stopped pursuing it again. And it actually came on an extra job that came open with the church, and I started attending church again because it was an extra job. And I've been doing that for like 7 years, and that's been going great. Uh, I joined the Gideon's Internationals, most notably known for giving out hotel Bibles.
Yep.
We give out Bibles all over the place for a lot of things, and I've been very active in that in the last couple years. So,
Now you also talk about God being present through all of it, everything that you've been through. What did that look like at the darkest moments? Was it something you felt, or was it something that you found only in hindsight?
oh, I mean, i- if I God doesn't leave you; He's always there. Uh, you walk away from Him. Uh,
That's right.
that's what I've found in all my time. Is it wasn't God leaving me; it was me leaving God, and I want to follow my own career path, do my own thing, uh, and those things just don't work out the way we all plan
Yes.
it to.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And so, I mean, some of that's a little bit of a hindsight reflection, but it seems like every time I hit my low, I was drawn back to him, and
Amen.
he's been my strength and comfort in my lowest points in life.
Amen. And that's scriptural. That's what in the book of Psalms, David said. He is my rock. He is my fortress. He is my strong place. He's my hiding place. And that's something important that we have to hold on to as believers in Christ. And you're absolutely 100% right. It's not God that turns his back on us. It's we that turn our back on God. We tend to get laden with bitterness. We tend to look at the people around us, and we tend to blame God for the things that people do around us, when it's really not. It's not the case. People will always fail you. People will always come up short. People will always let you down, but God will never let you down. Never.
Well,
You know.
That's I typically point people towards Job and all his
Absolutely.
trials. God didn't cause all those things to happen. He allowed it
Hmm.
to serve his own purposes, but it wasn't God that did it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I like to use Jeremiah as an example. Jeremiah, known as the weeping prophet. Jeremiah spent his life preaching the gospel, preaching the word of God, and didn't have anybody believe him. No converts. Not until Daniel came around. Daniel, I think, was his first and maybe his only convert. And Jeremiah got bitter. Jeremiah got angry. In Jeremiah chapter 20, I call a moment that I went through my Jeremiah 20 moment, where I kind of looked up at the Lord and I was like, I am done. I am not. You let me down. You lied to me. You're supposed to be this great, loving God. Look what you just put me through. Why would you do that to me after all the stuff I had my Jeremiah 20 moment, and I told the Lord, I am not teaching anymore. I am not preaching anymore. I am not going to speak in your name anymore. I am not doing this anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. And God, as usual, the way he deals with me, just kind of pat me on the head and said, okay, Joe, that's fine. Here's what I want you to teach next week on your Bible study. No matter what I did, he'd never let me go. So, which is comforting in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's the thing. People will let you down, not God. We turn away from God. God doesn't turn away from us. All you have to do, when you're in those down moments, just got to look to the Lord, man. Just look to the Lord. He will provide you that comfort. He'll give you the strength you need to get through those dark times. Absolutely. I firmly believe that. That's core to my faith. And I'm glad, man. I'm glad you brought that up. That's really, really very important. You do see a lot of tests of faith throughout your career working in law enforcement. You see some of the most horrible things that people can do to one another in law enforcement. And I know I'm preaching here, so I'm going to shut up in a second. But you see some of the most horrible things that people can do to one another while you're wearing that uniform, and you're in uniform, and you're working, and it's. I honestly don't know how people can experience those things and do it without faith in the Lord. I without God on their side. I don't know. I don't know if
I
that
don't
makes
know
sense to
either.
you. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
It's
that's.
like Tarek's book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Oh yeah, great book, by the way. Great. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. And it's true. It's very, very true. You just look at everything going on around you. You cannot deny the existence of God. You cannot. But before we run out of time, but I have so much stuff I still want to ask you here. So I want to get into the crossbow. So walk us through that day in 2019. What was the call? What happened?
So I have to start like 2 weeks earlier. Uh,
Okay.
I was sitting in a class. It's actually the FBI's hostage negotiation class, and I got a phone call from a parent that was concerned about his adult son who was suicidal, making suicidal comments, and using methamphetamine.
Hmm.
And I told him that
Wonderful combination, by the way.
yeah, it's super common in this area.
Mm.
Uh, but I told him that I was in class and that he could call 911 if he needed a response from the sheriff's office, or if he doesn't think it's important, I'll be happy next week to come out and talk to his son. And I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks, two, maybe 3 weeks. And when he called me, he said that his son had came over the night before making suicidal statements, making some crazy accusations. There was a cell phone tower in their yard. Well, I say a yard, it's a huge pasture.
Hmm.
Uh, and son was like, the cartel members have taken over that cell phone tower. They're sending out uh, radio frequency raves, uh, and it's killing people. I have a special code. Let me borrow your cell phone. I can type it in to stop it from killing people. Dad was like, "Go away. You're high." You know, Dad wakes up the next morning, finds his hay bales on fire,
Oh my gosh.
and calls me and says, "Hey, I think I have a problem with my son." He was saying all that stuff. So I turned around and went over there. Uh,
And you were by yourself, right?
I was by myself and with a qualified mental health professional, but
Okay.
it's a non-law enforcement role. I get there, I talk to dad and his ex-wife, which is the guy's mother, and her current boyfriend, husband, whatever he was. And when you get that spidey sense going that something just ain't right, uh, I started getting a lot of that in the back of my neck.
Hmm.
I don't typically wear a bulletproof vest anymore because I'm supposed to be approachable and not very cop-like in this job. Uh, just use the cop when I have to.
Hmm.
So I went to my car and put on my vest. I carry it with me uh, for just the occasions.
All right.
So I put on the vest because my spidey senses were all going. It's the county that I work in is about 900 square miles, just a little less than 900 square miles. And at any given point, it either has 3 or 4 officers working.
Mm.
So about 300 square miles per officer.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover.
So if you need backup, you're gonna wait for a little bit for any of it. Uh, as I was getting ready, put my vest on and whatnot, another call of a person that was attempting suicide by overdosing came out. So my closest unit got sent to that,
Hmm.
and I was by myself. So, and I think the dad was really worried about his son, maybe thinking that his son had committed suicide. Uh, so the dad was really trying to rush and get me there as fast as possible, or get me to go respond as fast as possible. So I went up to the door by myself or with the family. We all made the way up there. The dad knocked on the door, tried to push his way in, and the son started yelling and screaming at his dad to go away. Or if he doesn't go away, he's going to call the cops or the sheriff's office. And after about 2 or 3 times of his dad knocking on the door and we're getting nowhere, I was like, okay, he's asking for the sheriff's office. So let me introduce myself and see if that can change things. Well, it did change things. Instead of making things better, as soon as he heard that I was with the sheriff's office, he went high and to the right and started just screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs for us to go away. Uh, so in the whole process, I'm just like, "Hey, calm down." Or I don't use the word calm down, but just, "Hey, I'm here to talk to you. I just want to talk to you. Nothing's gonna happen. I just want to see if I can help you in any way." And that's when he said the fateful words of, "You want me to come out? You better be ready for this." And you know something bad's fixing to happen as soon as you hear that.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, and the guy lived in a Connex trailer. So just to put in perspective what this looks like. So he kicked the door open, and I peered around the door because you never stand in front of the door.
That's right.
Uh, I I went and peered around the corner, and I saw him pointing a crossbow at me. I took off down the side of the building so I could pull my weapon and get ready to engage. And about the time I was turning around, I feel a sunburn sensation on my arm and on my face. And if you can see right there, I don't know if you can see it in there, but maybe
Yeah, you
your
can.
viewers
Yeah.
can see. Uh, it hit me, and I can only surmise this is what happened because it was going so fast. It's really hard to tell, but I'm guessing that as I was drawing and turning, I was leaning down and it came across and hit me in the arm and across the face
Oh
like
man.
that. Uh, of course, as he did that, I took a shot at the from the hip at him. He started running away. I ran up to see because he disappeared around the Carnage trailer. Uh, I ran up to where I could see him, and he was running away from me. And he starts drawing a machete, and so I shot him in the back because what else is he going to do? He's going to go run to some trees. There was like some spotty trees right there. I was like, he's going to get behind there. That was going to be some cover, not really concealment, but some cover for him. He's going to
Right.
reload that crossbow and take more shots at me, or he's going to run behind us and whack us with the machete.
Wow.
Uh, so I made the fateful choice to stop the threat right then, because if he was able to hide and jump out at the guys when they show up, I mean, because by the time I called shots fired, you know, cavalry from everywhere is fixing to rain down on that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went ahead and shot him. Soon as I shot him, he fell like I mean, it was a sack of potatoes. He just dropped. So I knew I'd hit him. It was very apparent. Uh, his mom came up and doctored my wounds first. She said that she was a former paramedic. Uh, so she was like, "It looks like a graze wound. Put this handkerchief on your head." And I was like, "You go tend to your son. Let me make sure he doesn't still have the weapons, but go deal with your son. He's in worse shape than I am."
Right.
Uh, he ended up surviving that, uh, and he's now doing 60 years in the TDC.
Wow.
So,
Now, for folks that may not have any experience in this and don't understand how quick all this takes place, the decisions that you have to make take place. It's a lot of people like to armchair quarterback these situations and say, "Well, you should have done this and you could have done that. You could." In that particular moment, how fast are you making decisions?
I would say that all that took place in less than 5 seconds.
Right, exactly. You don't have time to sit there and weigh every single option that there is. The most important thing at that moment is what?
To make sure that I'm safe and the other people there. Like I said, mom was there, dad was
Exactly.
there, mom's new husband, boyfriend was there, my qualified mental health professional was there. So there's five of us, one of him, and he's still armed and fixing to do
Exactly.
something.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us what the next 24 hours look like from that point.
So we the ambulance arrives. They my guys were pretty mad because they didn't check on me first. They checked on him, but I was up moving around. He wasn't. I don't have a problem with that, but a lot of the cops that I work with really had a problem with that. He was care flighted to the hospital. I was told that I had the option. I could go in the ambulance or uh, one of the guys could take me. I chose to go by patrol car
Mhm.
versus going in the ambulance because man, I had a superficial wound. Uh, they sued me up, sewn me up. I called an attorney. The Rangers showed up to investigate that. My attorneys kicked the Rangers out of the room because they were trying to ask me questions, and he didn't want me to answer anything at the time. Uh, so the Rangers got kicked out of my room. Uh, I went home. They take your gun away from you. That's an important thing for you officers that haven't been involved in a critical incident. You get involved, they're going to take your gun away from you. A good uh, boss or a good ranger will want you to get a gun immediately back,
Mhm.
so it doesn't look like you're in trouble. But they took mine as I was headed to the hospital, so I didn't have time to get all that done. Uh, at the hospital, they offered me another gun. So then I did, of course, being in mental health, we uh we had people come up. Oh, are you okay? This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. One of the guys for the Beaumont Police Department that was on our unit because we're kind of a task force. Uh, he came in and he was like, "Hey, watch your drinking, do this." As soon as I got home, it was very quiet at the house and nobody around. I had a pounding headache from being shot in the head,
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
and the adrenaline dump. And about an hour or so sitting there doing nothing, I was like, man, I got to do something. I can't just be alone.
Mhm.
And nobody else was around. So what did I decide to do? Go to the bar.
Hmm.
So I went to the bar. I knew the bartender. She was like, "Why are you all bandaged up?" And I was like, "I was in a shooting earlier. I can't really talk about it, but I can give you at least those type details." And she's like, "Oh, I saw that on the news. That was you." And it got passed around the bar, so the bar was all buying me drinks, and
Wow.
the drinks just started coming. So that's not the best way, and I would not recommend anybody
Absolutely.
doing that. But that is what I did.
Now, now you've said that it wasn't really the crossbow incident that broke you. You've said that the damage had been building up for years. Tell us about that. What did that buildup actually look like from the inside?
While I was on patrol, when I was on patrol, I actually got the nickname Deputy Death because for whatever reason, I don't know whether I was just in the right place at the right time or whatnot, but I seem to be the deputy that all the death calls went to. So I responded. I've done four. separate death incidents in one 12-hour shift
Wow.
twice in my career. And it's just going through all that, getting fired from an agency, seeing a little 12-year-old that looks like my nephew that got shot by his best friend because they were playing with a hunting rifle. I mean, it just builds and builds and builds. I mean, there's so many different things that it's not the crossbow. The crossbow is just a great story that everybody knows me about. Uh, it's a way for me to reach people.
Mhm.
But I mean, seeing all these, seeing suicides, having brain matter drip off of ceilings onto you, uh, and seeing those things aren't hard. It's dealing with the families, the grieving loved ones.
Mm.
When you have to go tell somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning, hey, your son, daughter was in a accident and they passed away, or whatever. I mean, you don't get past that real easy,
Yeah.
and it happens all the time. I mean, you understand it because you've lived it, but I don't think most citizens understand how often these things happen.
And it's hard to make other people understand it. It really is. Like you could tell them, like you just told your story. I'm sure I could pull out stories myself, but unless you've actually lived through it, it's very hard to explain it to in a way that people do really understand and can feel exactly what it is that you're talking about. It's hard. It's very hard. In the time that we have left here, I want to get into your book. So you have a book, Scars of the Badge. So what ultimately made you write the book?
So I've kicked around the idea for several years. I've been like, man, I've got these cool stories like the Crossbow story. Everybody always asks me about it. I need to write it down so people know about it. Well, then I met with Giovanni Rocco. I don't know if you know who he is. Giovanni's Ring. He infiltrated the the I forget the name of the mafia, but they're in New Jersey.
Mhm.
Uh, he infiltrated that family, and I met him at a conference, and I got to talking to him about, hey, how'd you go about doing that? He was like, well, over the years, I was journaling. I was like, well, that's great for you that journal. I never journaled in my stories, but I've got tons of stories. And then, like, 3 or 4 other people I know started writing books,
Mhm.
and the pastor of the church I went to wrote a book and gave every member a copy. I was like, man, so many people are doing this. I just need to do it. And it was like a light bulb
Right.
went off that I just need to sit down and start it. And it took me about 5 weeks to write before editing. Editing
Mhm.
takes forever, but 5 weeks to do the majority of the book, uh, which is extraordinarily fast, is what
I've
I've been told.
Yeah, I've interviewed plenty of authors, and they every one of them has a different time frame for writing a book, but the average that I think off the top of my head has been at least 5 6 months.
Yeah, so I mean, it it's been because I started that in August of 2025, and I
Mhm.
was done with it uh, by mid September.
So, what made you decide to write this as a memoir and not like a self-help book or a guide?
So what I want is I want the public to understand our stories. I want the public to see it. I want that there's a little bit of faith in it, but I don't want that to be the resounding theme of it. I
Gotcha.
want the people who can relate to my story not to think that it's just a faith based book because it's not. I'm trying to reach the common Joe, and
No pun intended.
yeah, no, uh, get them to realize what it is that we go through. It's 50 chapters long. Almost every single chapter is a story in my career, uh, about different incidents that happened and how that shaped my career going through. And at the
Mhm.
end, I talk a little bit about how God plays a role in all that, and tell people that if there's only one book that you're going to read in the Bible, to read John. And it answers almost every question that you need answered about what Christianity is. Uh, so I just didn't want to make that the overarching theme of the book.
I get you. I get you. So who's the person that you really wrote this book for? Like, for example, like if you had one specific reader in mind, who are they?
Probably another law enforcement officer. Uh, I mean, I wrote it for general public, but I want the other officers to really say, okay, he went through something like that. I relate to that. I relate to
Yeah,
that. I understand that, and really take hold of what it is that I write there.
that's good. I like that. So I guess where do you want this book to go? Like, what's the version of success that you're hoping for with it?
That's a very difficult question. It doesn't get published until around June this year is when it's going to be actually released.
Okay.
So, uh, if you talk to any authors, they'll tell you that you, if you're self-publishing, you're lucky to sell 100 copies.
Yeah, I've heard
So
that too. Yeah, I said
I I think I'm going to sell a lot more copies than
I
that.
think you are
So
too. I do because I mean just the Crossbow story alone is compelling. Like I would love to read more about that and get more details of it. And I'm sure the other stories that you have in there are going to be fantastic to read. So I'm looking forward to actually getting a copy and reading it. Um, so just going to go back to faith really quickly before we completely wrap this up. So what would you say to a first responder who's been through everything that you've been through, but doesn't have a faith framework to fall back on?
so I mean, you got to figure out what's keeping them from doing it.
Hmm.
Uh, are, are you an atheist? Do you not believe in such? Well, I mean, just look at the overall, look at the sky, look at how things are put together. Does it tell you that there has to be some type of creator, something there? Uh,
Time,
the
luck, and lady chance and superintendence doesn't exactly work.
yeah,
You know,
the Big Bang Theory is super hard. I don't understand how you can believe that. Everything had to be so precise, so minute, so and all happens at the just the exact time for any of this to work.
hmm
But yet it all just fell into place by happenstance.
yeah, yeah,
I
that doesn't
don't.
make sense.
It doesn't really make sense. So
No. When my kids were young and they were in school, I remember they had come to me and they said, "Dad, so today we learned about the Big Bang Theory because you mentioned the Big Bang Theory struck the memory. They taught us about the Big Bang Theory. Do we believe in the Big Bang?" I said, "Yeah, I believe in the Big Bang. My God said it, and bang, it came into existence."
that's exactly how I
That's
believe
it.
it too.
That's it. And they were like, and my daughter was the more inquisitive one of the whole thing, and she was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And when you go to school tomorrow, tell your teacher that. See what they say.
Yeah, I'm sure that went over really well.
Oh, it did. I got a phone call. Well, that's what we're teaching him. You have to teach them at least follow the guidelines that we have in our books and so on and so forth. Yeah, no, I'm going to teach them truth. not speculation.
I
But
mean, that is the Big Bang that happened.
yeah, exactly right. All right, Tom. So we're going to start to wrap up here. So where can we go to find out more about you, get your book, website, anything?
Yep, scarsofthebadge.com. Right now is where you can find it. You'll be able to find in June all the major platforms, Amazon, uh, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million should all have it at least online. It's super tough to get those in actual bookstores, but they'll be available online, or should be.
Outstanding. All right, last question for you before we wrap it up. Who is someone that inspires you right now, and what are they doing that catches your attention?
So I write about this guy a lot in my book. Uh, his name's Steve Hinton. He was the mental health deputy for Jefferson County. He's retired 2 times, and he just got hired as a DA investigator with the DA's office, and he's working on his 3rd career in police work.
Wow.
But super awesome Christian, super strong. He helped me in the last 3 or 4 years guide myself back to Christ and got me hooked up with the Gideons. We gave out approximately 7,000 Bibles at the Uvalde school shooting.
Outstanding.
Just amazing guy. He's a guy that I look up to.
Outstanding. All right, folks. Tom Lee, thank you, sir. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here tonight. This was fantastic. I love the stories, and man, I really hope you sell 1 million copies. I really do. I'm really looking forward to the book coming out, and I'm looking forward to getting a copy. And once it comes out, what we'll do is I'll reconnect with you, and maybe you come back on again if you can. And we'll talk about the book specifically. We'll get into some of the details that you have in there when we go through a couple of chapters and talk about specific stories. If you're up to that, I would love to do that. It'd be a lot of fun, I think. And
sounds great.
All right, outstanding. So I'm going to put you backstage and just hang out back there for a few minutes until I close up the rest of the show, and we'll wrap this thing up in about a quick minute. All right.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, Tom Lee, folks. Great stuff. And sir, again, thank you for your service and thank you for everything you do. God bless you, man. All right. Tom Lee. Make sure you check out his book. Check out the website. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Just very humble man. I really love talking to this guy tonight. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it very, very much. He has a great story to tell. It's an important story too. So make sure you check it out. All right. So let's get moving on wrapping this baby up here tonight. So it is that time to talk about Liberal Christmas. It's right around the corner. Are you ready? What's Liberal Christmas? It's tax day. Tax day, April 15th. And the folks over at Diamond Dynasty Tax Group Legacy want to help you get prepared. They want to make sure that the liberals get all the goodies that they can possibly get. They want to help you do it legally and correctly. And they're going to do the best they can to minimize all the stress and maximize your returns. Great group of folks. In all seriousness, they did all my taxes for me after we purchased the asylum, after we did the renovations and built the studio. Everything that they did, it took a mountain of receipts, and they took care of all of it. No problems, no issues, no concerns. So give them a call. Diamond Dynasty Tax Group Legacy, 830-867-7106. It's 830-867-7106. Let them help you get your tax returns filed. All right? And remember, taxation is theft. All right. Let's see. Shout-outs, of course, to our producing team. Executive producer Wayne Rankin. Executive producer Rosanna Rankin. Executive producer Carolina Jimenez. Executive producer Marissa Lee. And, of course, the inestimable Anonymous Angela, our executive producer. Folks, we follow what they call the value for value model. All that simply means is that if you are receiving anything of value from what we're putting out, we're asking you to return that value to us in the form of a donation. And that donation can be your time, your talent, or your treasure. We call it the 3 T's. These folks donate their time, their talent, their treasure to help put these shows together, and we are greatly appreciative of that. So if you'd like to find out more about how you can help the show, visit our website, joerooz.com/support, joerooz.com/support. And if you happen to do it, if you're able to do it, make a donation. All the information is available to you right there on the website. Please check it out, joerooz.com/support. You know, we throw the word strong around a lot, right? But strength really isn't pretending that nothing affects you. It's being honest about what did and choosing to keep going anyway. Tom's story isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being broken and then coming back with your eyes open. And maybe that's the real takeaway from this tonight. Scars don't disqualify you. They actually prove that you were there. Folks, really great show tonight. Really appreciate it, Tom. Thanks again for being here tonight. And thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to spend it here with us. So I think that's just about all I've got for you. Don't forget, head over to the website, joerooz.com, joerooz.com. Go over to the contact section, send us a message, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, cares, or concerns, send them on over to us. joerooz.com, info@joerooz.com. All right, folks, make Texas independent again. Go podcasting. Keep a steady stride. And more importantly, folks, always, always, always keep talking. Good night, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night.